you want to lighten your again. So first you need to understand why you're getting discoloration in the bikini area in the first place. So here's the thing, as I say on this channel quite often, one of the main culprits, aside from any medical issues, make sure you are seeing your doctors because, darkening skin could mean other things and we want to make sure that we are happy and healthy. But aside from that, one of the main culprits behind the darkening skin in the bikini area is you are constantly removing that hair. And that is whether you shave, whether you wax, whether you sugar, whether you use a depilatory cream, whether you use an epilator, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to talk about this in two parts. One, we really need to understand why we get the discoloration in the first place, because if you don't have that down, you're going to constantly be in a hamster wheel, constantly in the cycle of getting discoloration, fading it, getting discoloration, fading it, getting discoloration, and fading it. And then two, we're going to talk about how you can fade the discoloration. Now, friends, there is an irritation to hyperpigmentation pipeline. So if you do something that irritates your skin, it can lead to inflammation that could lead to hyperpigmentation. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do to irritate our skin that can lead down to hyperpigmentation and them ingrown hairs. And if your skin is just not loving your hair removal method, it can cause hyperpigmentation. So now let's break that down. So one, direct skin contact. This is when your hair removal method comes in contact with your skin, irritating it and leading it to hyperpigmentation. A couple of ways that this can happen can be with your razor. If your razor is made out of a material that your skin is allergic to or sensitive to, that can cause a reaction that can lead down to hyperpigmentation. There are people out there that are allergic to nickel, which is why sometimes you'll see like nickel-free razors. This can also happen with waxing, like if the wax is too warm or if something in the wax just kind of irritates your skin. Ditto with depilatory creams. They come in contact with your skin. If your skin doesn't like it, then it could lead to an irritation that could lead to hyperpigmentation. By the way, I'm not saying that this will happen. I'm saying it could happen. We're laying out options here, right? But two, the more common cause are those damn ingrown hairs. See, those of us of color, we have curlier hairs, everywhere. And as those hairs grow back, sometimes because they're curled, instead of going straight up and out of the skin, sometimes they curve under. And then the skin is like, what the hell, yo? What is going on here? And your skin starts to react to this foreign object because, clearly the hair should grow up like this and not down like this. So the skin is like, what's happening? And our skin, people of color, our skin reacts to the slightest thing, right? The slightest threat. It'd be like, yo, I gotta, overproduce some melanin because what the hell is going on here? Now, to be clear, just want to make myself clear here. You don't have to remove the hair. As a matter of fact, we talked about women in this video here who are body hair activists that just let it all grow out. I personally take a hiatus from trimming my bushes, during times of economic turn downs, in a less stimulated economy, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. So another discoloration culprit, friction. Now that could either come from skin on skin, or it can come from tight clothing rubbing up against your skin. Like if you ever wore a big, thick, dirty bra strap and have the marks to prove from it, that's friction. The darkening of the skin in between the thighs, friction. I even got some back rolls, that have some discoloration on underneath of them because at one point the rolls were kind of rolling over and it was just that skin on skin. Friction. So friends, you'll need to be realistic because sometimes you can fade the discoloration only for it to come back. And then what you gonna do? Not move? Okay, now the moment you've been waiting for. Now, although there are some discoloration that you just cannot avoid, there are some things you can do to keep a pretty. Number one, routine exfoliation. Not only is this going to help with those damn ingrown hairs, but it's also going to help with the skin's turnover process, which means you're going to get glowing skin faster. Just do not overdo it with the exfoliation because if you do that, you impair the skin's barrier and then you wind up knocking yourself back like 5-6 steps and then you gotta start all over from the beginning and who wants to do all of that? And how crazy you gonna look with a burning kitty cat. So you can use an exfoliating cleanser like the one from CeraVe that contains salicylic acid, which salicylic acid, it's gonna go deep into that pore and clear out the gunk that causes breakouts and ingrown hairs. I also sometimes like to use a benzoyl peroxide wash like the La Roche-Posay 4% BP cleanser. You can also use an exfoliating toner. There are also leave-on chemical exfoliants. Topicals makes a great one. It comes in like this roller and you just roll it on and then wipe it off when you're done. Thayer's also just came out with some salicylic acid pads that are really nice. And there's also good old Ten Skin. You might also enjoy a gentle, keyword gently here, physical exfoliant like the Bush Balm Ingrown Hair Exfoliating Scrub. Now, unless you want a burning bush, do not exfoliate directly after removing your hair. So give it a day or two after you remove the hair before you start exfoliating. Remember to do a patch test before you put any of these products in your love pocket area because the skin can be really delicate down there for some people. And also to reiterate, these are all things that we're doing on the external. We are not inserting anything inside because that could cause whole nother host of issues. Now that we've got stop 1 covered, let's move on to stop 2, fading the discoloration. A lot of the dark spot products that you use for your face can also be used to brighten the bikini area, but there's levels to this when it comes to dark spots because not all dark spots and discoloration is made equal. The newer, fresher ones will fade in about 6 to 8 weeks with consistent treatment and use of sunscreen. However, the older dark spots and the older discoloration, I'm talking things that you've had for 4 months or more, that's not as easy to treat with over-the-counter treatment. For some people, that first line of defense is a prescription strength cream, but clearly that means you gotta get out the house, go find a doctor, go da-da-da-da-da. However, thankfully, you don't have to go through the whole process of finding a doctor, getting a prescription, leaving the house, yada, 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 because there are services like Agency, and Agency has been a proud sponsor of this channel for quite some time now, who offer prescription strength creams to help with things like older dark spots, and it's under the guidance of a licensed dermatology provider. And here is how it works. After a virtual consultation, licensed dermatology providers at Agency will work on putting together your custom prescription formula. I've been using their Future formula for the last 2 years. My custom prescription contains tretinoin, dexpanthenol, tranexamic acid. But if you have older dark spots, now remember, dark spots older than 4 months or more, they're harder to treat with stuff that you can just buy over the counter. And if that's you, the Agency dark spot formula might be right up your alley. So years ago, my under eye discoloration looked like this. I went to my derm, she gave me a prescription cream, and it helped drastically to fade the discoloration underneath my eyes. I told y'all about that years ago. Y'all were like, oh my God, what's the cream? Let me know what's the tea, what's the tea, what's the tea? But I was like, yo, the tea is you gotta go to your dermatologist and have them prescribe you a prescription. Now, what's great about Agency is that their dark spot formula has similar ingredients to that prescription that my dermatologist gave me. However, for you guys look out, right? Because you get to have the soft life. You get to have the easy way. You don't even have to leave your house to get it because you have access to the licensed dermatology providers at Agency. Friends, I know how dark spots can really bring down your confidence in your skin. And if you've been struggling with dark spots, you gotta check out the link in my description, or even easier, if you're watching from your TV, point your phone's camera to this QR code right here, which you can, let me move over so you got your room or whatever. You can scan this, or click the link in my description and you can get information on how to get a special offer on your first box from Agency. Another amazing thing about Agency, you don't have to do it alone. They have a portal with all the instructions on how to use your custom formula, when to use it, what to use it with, yada, yada, yada. And you can message your licensed dermatology provider whenever you want to with any questions that you have, and they'll get back to you. Now, I know a lot of y'all are like, all right, I just want the solution, but I need you to understand how you got here in the first place. Otherwise, you will forever be on a cycle of getting the dark spots, removing them, getting them again, removing them. Don't do that to yourself. So listen to the rest of this video. Now, for most people, that prescription cream, that just might be all you need. However, if you need more, that's where professional services come in. Things like vajacials, which will help to rejuvenate and get rid of ingrown hairs. You might also need to look into chemical peels or laser to help with really, really stubborn areas of discoloration and dark spots. Now, friends, if you are really trying to up the game on this discoloration where you ain't really got to deal with it at all, you have got to look into either laser hair removal or electrolysis. With laser hair removal, it is the permanent reduction of the hair cycle. So if the hair is growing in less and less, you don't need to remove it as much. And if you're not removing the hair as much, you're lessening the likelihood of getting ingrown hairs, which also lessens the likelihood of the area getting discolored. And with electrolysis, it's the permanent removal of the hair. They do take the hairs out one by one, but it's permanent. Now, if you want to get the pros and cons of each, what all goes down, what it feels like, does it hurt, how much does it cost, you need to check out this video here, and I'll meet you there.